Hey, my name is Jordan, and I've been on staff here for 5 years, and there's a lot of things that get me excited about what we do with Stumo, but really some of the things that get me the most excited are nights like this, where we get to come and we get to talk about some of life's biggest questions. A couple weeks ago, Blake was talking about, what God is even like. What is He like? And then last week, Tommy talked about, man, does this faith thing even work? And tonight, we're going to be talking about, in my opinion, one of the most important questions anybody can ever ask themselves. And that's this. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is the meaning of life? And I think when we're asking that question, it boils down to this word purpose. And the word purpose defined as this: the reason for which something is created or for which something exists. The reason for which something is created or for which something exists. And when you think about purpose and why we exist, that's a really deep question, isn't it? We got deep real fast. So I got super curious when I was coming up with some of the different things for this talk. I just wanted to know what people had to say about what their purpose is or what they think the meaning of life is, and I kind of wanted to hit them on the spot. And so I just got my little brother, and I just said, hey, follow me around. I'm going to go through the union, and I'm just going to ask random people what their thoughts are on what is the purpose of life. And so just know that this video is not professional. It's not professionally done. Brock did a really good job, but it's not professionally done on my part. But there's going to be questions in there about, hey, what's the purpose of you even being at K-State? Then what's the purpose of life in general? What are your thoughts? And then you got to have some fun too. So after some other questions in there. So go ahead and check this out. See what some of the students' thoughts were. So just how's your name?
My name's Haley.
I'm Nathan.
Nathan.
I'm Whitney.
Jake.
Jake. We can do that. I like that. Cooper. Good to meet you.
Can you say pledges on camera? Alright, so I'm with some podcast interns here. Alright, so we're going around just asking students what are, some of the deepest questions in life.
First question I got for you is, if you were a kitchen appliance, what would you be?
And what is your favorite smell?
That's really hard. Yeah.
So I was kind of wondering, do you not like beef because it's bad for the environment, or?
I love a good vanilla, but not like the cheap vanilla is really nasty.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with the cheap vanilla.
It's not the good stuff.
What's your go-to breakfast item?
Pancakes.
Oh, pancakes. Nice.
A knife.
Second question, a little bit deeper. What do you think your purpose is for being at K-State?
To get a degree. Society tells me to.
Society tells you to? Okay.
Degrees, man.
Step out of my comfort zone.
Okay.
I don't know anybody.
We're going to go a little bit deeper on this one and kind of ask the question even just about life in general. Why do you guys think we exist? What is the purpose of life?
Wow, we just got real deep.
Like that is that question.
I think to help each other. Survive? Yeah, I think it's like surviving or
Survive and reproduce. That's our purpose.
That's the basic.
Maybe to like make something of yourself,
Yeah.
something to like leave behind.
I don't know, kind of just like impact people and kind of build your own legacy.
I honestly, purpose of life, I think, is the purpose of life. What's the meaning of life? Did you get that? He whispered it. He said a national championship for the Cats.
I really don't know. That's a great question.
I love Tristan's answer there at the end, or his statement at the end. He said that's a good question. And when I thought about what the purpose of life is, it really is a great question to be asking ourselves. Because really, the word purpose, it defines where you're going. It defines the direction in which you're heading. If you think about it, all organizations, every single organization that has succeeded has a mission statement, right? And so I've got a few mission statements I'll put up here. I'm going to need your guys' help, okay? So I'll put up a mission statement. I'm going to need you guys to guess which, or yeah, give me a guess of what you think the mission statement, which organization it's coming from. So here's the first one. To bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. If you have a body, you are an athlete. Which one is this? Under Armour? It's Nike. It's interesting, they put that asterisk in there because they said that everybody is an athlete. I think they're trying to incorporate as many people as possible to expand who they're selling to. But I don't know if they've been to a KU football game, so I don't know if they can. I'm just kidding. They won. They won, right? How about this one? To allow you to experience moments in your friends' lives through pictures as they happen. What is it? Oh, you guys are good. Yep, Instagram. How about this one? It's to foster excellence, teaching, research, and service that develop a highly skilled and educated citizenry, question mark, necessary to advancing the well-being of the nation, the international community. If I would fill in the blank, it would give it away. What do you guys think? Yeah. Kansas State University. Right there's the mission statement. Well, that's where you guys are headed, just so you guys know. How about this one? To save people money so they can live better. Everybody loves Walmart. They're all Wally World. This one's very interesting to me. This could be a multitude of different things. It's not very specific. It says to refresh the world in mind, body, and spirit, to inspire moments of optimism and happiness for our brands and actions to create value and make a difference. Sounds like a hippie yoga place to me. What do you guys think it is? You guys might be surprised by this one. Alright, last one. To stay one step ahead of our competitors by offering a good amount of above average food and OK queso. You guys said Chipotle, but I said the opposite. I know the queso's good at Qdoba. Chipotle or Qdoba, you know. Both of them have their benefits. But if you think about it, every organization, every company has a mission statement. Not only does an organization or a company have a mission statement, but teams have mission statements. Sometimes very intense families have mission statements. Organizations have mission statements. And the reason why they have those is to show why they exist. And the same thing's got to be true when you ask yourself the question, what about you? Why do you exist? What is your purpose? Tonight, hopefully, we can answer this question. Tonight, hopefully we can look into what God has to say about these realities of whether or not are we here just by chance? Are we just a body full of chemicals that react to stimuli, and then for 80 years we exist, and then we're gone, then nothing happens? Or is there something more to it? One of the bases of the places that I want to start tonight is right here, Genesis 1:1. Now, Genesis 1:1 is, in my opinion, one of the greatest things that we can look to in order to find our true purpose. It says this: in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God created the heavens and the earth. So what does it say? This is saying that God is the creator. If He's the creator, that makes us what? Yeah. And so if we're the creative, we're creation, then who do we got to look to find the true purpose? We got to look to God. Now, I know some people are coming in here and they're saying, okay, I'm asking this question, what is the meaning of life? What is the purpose? We're all asking that. And for those of you who believe that God is the creator and you do have a relationship with Him, my hope is that tonight that you would use it to encourage you to pursue Him harder. Now, for you who are asking that question, is God real? Is God who He says He is? Is His faith thing, like Thomas said, even work? Because if you don't believe that, then it's going to be hard to believe the Word, right? To believe the Bible. My encouragement to you is just to step into that truth, into that reality tonight. Just for logic's sake, to look at it from God's perspective. Because like Tristan was saying on that video, we're all asking the question. My encouragement to you guys is to seek truth. to figure out what's real, to figure out what your purpose actually is, to figure out the meaning of life. Because I think if you do that, you're going to find what you're looking for. And so that's the basis for all of what I'm talking about tonight. There's 3 different things I want us to look at. 3 different purposes that God has given us that I think are uncomparable to any other purpose that is out there. The first one is this: to reflect God. Check this out. Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created. Male and female he created. I mean, it's kind of crazy if you stop and look at it. God literally created everything. He created the heavens, he created the earth, he created the animals, he created the water, he created the galaxies, the billions and billions of stars that exist. He created all of that. Then he stops and he says something very significant about you. God has something very, very, very significant to say about each and every single one of you. And it's this: that you are created in his image. You are different than any other creation. He stopped. He could have made anything else in his image, but he made us in his image. And why is that significant? Check out Isaiah 43:7. Everyone who was called by my name, whom I created for my glory, whom I formed and I made. This is significant because it gives us purpose. It's significant because it makes us not just an insignificant person by ourselves doing our own thing, but you were created for a purpose. And that was to glorify God. That was to make God known. He created us to show God to people. He created little images that would talk, they would act, they would feel. They would laugh, they would love, they would adventure, they would pursue, they would achieve, they would interact, they would socialize, they would compete, and then they would enjoy. They would experience things that give them pleasure in a way that reveals God. So people would look at your life, the way you behave, the way you act, the way you think, the way you talk, and they would say, God must be great, God must be real. This idea got me thinking a little bit about the ideas of, it got me thinking about the idea of a statue. Okay, so I live right next to the football stadium, and oftentimes I'm walking around the football stadium just kind of trying to get out, and I love walking by the stadium, but I see this statue every time I walk by the stadium. And when I walk by this statue, it made me start to think about, why in the world do we make statues? Why in the world do these even exist? Well, the reason why they're made are to honor somebody. It's in memory of somebody. It's to celebrate somebody. And Bill Snyder, out of anybody here at K-State, probably deserves a statue right there, right next to the stadium that has his name on it, right? But it got me thinking even more about all of his success. So Bill, from 1989 to 2017, Bill leads this great tournament, right? But what's crazy is all of the people that were involved in that, all of the different boosters that were supporting him, the schedules, the players who came through, the bowl games. There was a lot of moving parts to make that greatness happen. But when you look at that statue, who do you think of? When you look at the statue, you think of Bill, right? Let me put it this way. In the same exact way, when God created every single one of us, He gave us personalities. He gave us, we're all different heights, different weights. We're all different. We have different skills. We have different abilities. Every single one of them were given to you to represent God and to reflect God. It kind of looks like this a little bit. This is a Beartooth Aspenwood Chevelle mirror. Okay? Yeah, it's pretty intense. If I had a mirror like that, I'd probably be a little bit more of a man. But this mirror right here is kind of one of those ones that flip, and so you can do whatever flip it at whatever angle that you want. And it got me thinking about this idea of God even reflecting on us to the world. Okay, so imagine God being right there. There's me. You got one of those mirrors, you tilt it at a 45-degree angle. When you tilt it at a 45-degree angle, does anybody know the physics of that? If God's shining down right on it, which way does it shoot off, do you know? 45-degree angle equals a 90-degree angle right there. God created us so that we would reflect Him to the world. Here's the math behind it, or the physics behind it, if you guys were wondering. I had absolutely no idea how it worked. I asked like 3 people how that works, and if it was true, and there's my evidence that it is true, it does work. But why is this significant? Why am I sharing all this? Why do I spend so much time trying to tell you about the fact that God has created you to reflect Him because of this? You are one person of 500 in this room. You are one person of 24,000 at K-State. You are one person of 350 million in the U.S., 7.2 billion in the world. They said that about 100 billion people have existed over time. You are one person out of all of that. I don't know about you, but when I hear that, I look around, I get a big campus like this, I start to feel a little bit insignificant. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled with that when I was in college. And I went a million different routes trying to find significance. And what's crazy, every route that I took left me empty. The reason why I share what I'm sharing tonight is because it has a ton of meaning. Psalm 139:13 through 14. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. God did not mass produce the 100 billion that have existed. God made you. You. He did it fearfully. He did it wonderfully. And He did it intimately because He cares for every individual person. And what does that mean? That means you've got significance. That means your life matters. That means your life has inherent worth. Every single person that's existed has inherent worth because God created them and loved them. That means a lot. Every single one of us has got a purpose to live for. First one is to reflect God. And a purpose alongside that God has given us, I think is just as honorable and is just as enticing to live for as this, to pursue God. So you're meant to reflect God, and because of that, you've got significance, you've got importance. But you're also meant to pursue God. This is the crazy thing. From the beginning of time, God created us, and then God walked with us. We literally had a relationship with the creator of the universe. But what's crazy is we took that mirror that was supposed to be reflecting towards God, and just for a second, just for a slight second, we flipped it. We flipped it, now the mirror is facing us. As we're looking right into that mirror, you know what happened? We said, I like the way that looks. I don't look too bad. I've got some skills. I've got some dreams. I've got some ambitions. You know, I think I'm going to pursue those instead of God. What's crazy is the flip that just happened right there. People who were once significant because they were reflecting God, in an instant became insignificant because all they wanted to reflect is themselves. In an instant. That word that describes that is sin. Sin has separated us from the creator of the universe. Sin has separated us from the one who had knitted us together. And it was permanent. It was irrevocable. You can't change that back. God's perfect. Because He's perfect and because sin entered the world, you can't change that back. It's like there were chains that were put on that mirror, and so no matter how hard you wanted to flip it back, you can't flip it back. Well, that's where this verse comes in, and that's where our purpose comes back in, because our purpose was to be in a relationship with Him, and we forgot our purpose because of who we were looking at in that mirror. We forgot it. But Christ didn't settle for that. God didn't settle for that. He wanted us so bad. He said this. He said, for Christ died for sins once for all, the righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to God. He's put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit. God loved every single one of us so much. He didn't settle for that. He knew it was irrevocable. He knew what the sin meant. He knew what we were choosing when we were choosing ourselves over him. But he wanted us so bad. He wanted us to live out of our true purpose so badly that he sent himself. He sent his son. He sent the one that he loved the most. Put him upon a cross, died for us. And because Jesus perfectly lived out the purpose God called him to, created an opening for us. It created an opportunity for us to flip that mirror back. But what's crazy is when we're thinking about pursuing God, we just read Psalm 139, and it says that he knows us. He's intimately woven us together. So he knows us better than we know ourselves. But Matthew 6:33 gives us our purpose. We are to pursue him. Jesus has done everything. He literally laid it out for us. He did something that was impossible and made it possible. Taking the chains of sin off of that mirror so that you can flip back over. But you've got the responsibility. The ball is in your court now to go ahead and flip that mirror. To pursue him. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. It kind of got me thinking about this scenario. Tiger Woods. So Tiger Woods, one of the greatest golfers of all time, if not the greatest golfer of all time, changed the game of golf. Got 5 or 6 Masters. Recently just won one in 2019. From the earliest of ages, he was 3 years old. His mom and dad wanted him to be a great golfer, and they got him on a golf course. And then he went to school, just like we went to school, but he went to school for golf. They literally had every point of access to develop him as a golfer. They had all the trainers that they needed. They knew the people that they needed to know. They had the resources. Wouldn't it have been crazy if the parents who had this dream of their son to be this awesome golfer would have been like, hey, you know, we're going to let him wait till he gets of age to make his decision. We've got all these resources. We want him to be a good golfer. We know that he possibly can be if we give him what he needs. But we're just going to let him wait to make his own decision. And then he gets to that age where he gets to make his own decision. He's like, you know what, I've got all access to this. But, you know what, I kind of like what I'm doing right now. I don't necessarily need to press into that. I think I'll be fine. I'll just show up to one of the tournaments. See how I do. I don't think it's going to work out very well for Tiger Woods. We know that that's not what happened, right? He was 3 years old on a golf course. He spent his entire life in basically golfing school, and then his training consisted of 13 hours a day of waking up, running 4 miles. He woke up and ran 4 miles, and then he did a workout after that, and he did 18 holes. And then he did some specific golf training, then he did another 18 holes, then he did some more specific stuff, 4 more miles, then he ended up with a weight room workout, and then he played basketball and tennis for fun after that. That is pursuit. That's what pursuing looks like. That is the same type of intensity that God calls us to in our pursuit of him. That was our purpose. God has given us a purpose to pursue him in that same type of way. What's interesting though is in that scenario, we're kind of in that spot where a lot of us, where we go, we see, we have all these opportunities right in front of us, but then we never pursue. Where are you at? Which way do you have the mirror flipped? Which way do you have the mirror flipped? God gives us an awesome opportunity to get to know him and to live out of our true purpose, to reflect him and to pursue him. Last one is this. Not only is the purpose that God given us to reflect him and to pursue him, but then also to share God with others. What's great to say in Corinthians 5:20, we are therefore Christ's ambassadors as though God were making his appeal through us. This is like the greatest turnaround story in history. We went from being God's enemy to literally God saying, hey, will you be my mouthpiece? We went from being God's enemies, and now through a relationship with him, you've got an opportunity to be his mouthpiece. It's kind of crazy to think about, but not only can we share with others about what we say, but look at this, Matthew 22:37-39. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. I always find it pretty intriguing when you see different tragedies that happen on the news and stuff like that, earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis. People are going hungry. There's water issues going on all around the world. It's very intriguing to me that a majority of the time, the first people to show up, the first people that are there to help, and then they come in waves, are genuine believers. You ever wonder why they're showing up? Like a purpose. God's given them a purpose to live for that's much greater than themselves. And they find meaning in it. They find happiness. They find significance. They find satisfaction in it. And they haven't found anything that compared to it. They listen to God because there's nothing that competes with it. There's nothing that competes with what God has to offer. I was even thinking about this. My brother and I, I've got a twin brother. He's in India right now, but he's doing some international business and stuff like that. But him and I, when we were about sophomores in college, we decided to take a road trip, and we took a road trip to Fort Bennings, Georgia. And we were in Manhattan, Kansas, Fort Bennings, Georgia, so it was a pretty long trek. And we decided to leave about 8 p.m., so that means we're driving all the way through the night. My cousin was graduating down there. About a quarter of the way through, Jeremy and I had been talking about how much we'd see some of these different people that are on the side of the road, and we were like, man, we're gonna get some food. And a lot of that was based out of some of the purpose that God has given us to just love the people around us. And so we stopped, and this guy's name was Robert. I had a chicken sandwich. What is that? McChicken, that's what it is. I had a McChicken from McDonald's. I offered it to him. Obviously, you can't deny McChicken, so he took the McChicken. And he asked us if we'd give him a ride. I was like, yeah, sure, get in the car. And Jeremy was like, what? I was like, yeah, just get in the car, let's do this. I figured we had two people, two dudes. We could take them if something bad happened. And then I put him on like the back right side just in case he did make a move. He was taking my brother out, not me. But so we started driving, and he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna need to be dropped off in Tennessee, and we're in Missouri. I'm like, that's 8 hours away. And so we were in this. We were committed to it. And so Robert, Jeremy, and I, we were driving, and I just wanted to get to know him a little bit. And I started asking him some questions. I said, Robert, how in the world did you get into this position? And he said, well, I was in Tennessee. My family kicked me out. I needed to clear my mind. So I went to California. I was like, wow. So you went on a stroll to clear your mind, and you ended up in California, in Tennessee. How in the world did that happen? I asked him, I said, how did you get from there to California back to here? Did people pick you up? How many people picked you up? And he said, well, there were, I can't count. I can't count how many people picked me up. I said, oh, that's awesome. We had just got done sharing the message of Christ with them, just how much God loved them, what Jesus had done for them, and telling him why we're doing what we're doing. I'm doing this because God loves you, man. And so I asked him, I said, hey, Robert, how many people that you picked up from Tennessee to California, back to here, how many people that picked you up told you this story? He said, every single one of them. He said, I even remember a woman and her daughter driving around 6 times. Yeah, 6 times. Said she rolled her window down, she's nervous as can be, shaking her arms, and said, hey, I feel like God has told me to do this. I want to love you this way. I want to give you a ride. Robert said, I told her to never do that again, but I took the ride. We dropped Robert off in Tennessee. We gave him we paid for his hotel and stuff like that. I shared this not to show Jeremy and I off, but to show God off. It was God who picked him up. It was God who was begging for him to hear that message and to respond to it, in hopes that he would pursue it. I have no idea where Robert's headed. I have no idea what he's doing. I hope one day I'm going to be in heaven. I'm going to walk up to him, have a nice handshake with him, ask him how the rest of life went for him. But what's crazy is God gives us some significant purpose. If you're asking the question, why am I here? What's my purpose? What's the meaning of life? You've gone in and out of different pursuits, in and out of different purposes. Maybe some of them have been successful. Maybe some of them have given you what you thought it was going to give you. But at the end of the day, I think we can all relate when we say there's got to be something more. There's got to be something more. And this is why I think two really, really quick things right here. Why I think this is the pursuit we should go after. This is the purpose we should live for. One, nothing competes. Nothing competes with it. Ecclesiastes 3 talks about how God put eternity in every single one of our hearts. There's a quote that even talks about how God put a vacuum-sized hole in every single one of our hearts, and unless we fill it with God, it's not going to be satisfied. It's not going to be fulfilled. So when we give our lives these purposes, that God's going to fulfill us. And we're going to find what we're looking for. The second one is this: you don't get your time back. You don't get your time back. This is for people who believe this to be true, and for people who don't. We're all in the same category. We've got 80, 85 years of life to live. We've got to make the most of it. Because you've got this. This is what you got with your life. You've got one shot. We've all got one shot. What are we going to do with that one shot? God gives us so much opportunity. He wants us to live for true purpose, for true meaning. But we've got to ask ourselves the question, what do I want to be about, what do I want to live for? Socrates says the unexamined life is not worth living. So those who kind of just go with the flow, who never take time to stop and think about it, never take time to examine what you're actually living for, what your moments are actually costing, he would say it's not worth living. What's crazy and cool is that God gives us a life worth living. And so, hey, I want you guys to take just a few minutes just to talk about it, to kind of debrief. This is a heavy topic. This is a little deep, and so it's just good to kind of hash it out a little bit. Get some questions up here. Take a few minutes to talk with the people around you, and then we're going to have the MCs come back up after that.
Well, if you would have asked my high school self what I thought my purpose was, my answer probably would have been all over the place, because I was all over the place. I was involved in dance, cheerleading, cross country, like just everything. And my parents raised me up in the faith, but it was never really a priority in my life. When I grew up, something became my passion, and that was dance. This passion just became my everything, and that was really all that I cared about. So when we talk about purpose, my identity was known as the girl that was good at dancing. And so that's when I started realizing that I was listening to the other people's thoughts and what they thought of me. And so through that, whether it was guys or girls or my parents, I wanted to please them. And so that made me thinking that I need to practice longer, I need to be skinnier, and I need to be better than everyone else around me. And so I went into college wanting to keep that identity for myself. And so I tried out for the dance team here, Classy Cats, and I made it. And instantly making the team got in my head, and that's where my confidence stemmed from. And through pleasing others, through into college, I got involved really heavily in the party scene. Through drinking and drugs, that's where my identity also found from. And so there was a point where just trying these pleasing people just didn't work for me anymore. And so there was an event, a Classy Cat event, where I chose to bring alcohol to, and I ended up getting caught with the alcohol, and I got kicked off the team my freshman year going into second semester. And when this happened, I was like, what just happened? And that was my everything, and the thing that I loved just got ripped away from me. And through this time, I began asking myself, who is Emma without dance? And so shortly after this happened, I met some girls in my sorority named Rachel and Shelby, and a friend of mine named Shyla. And we just became hanging out and becoming friends, and it was centered around Christ. They started asking me questions about my childhood, my hobbies, and my faith. I valued this relationship because they had a passion and purpose in their lives, and they didn't just go to church or Bible study, but they had consistently satisfaction through Christ. And one morning, just after a hard weekend, I decided to give God control. and put him ahead of my own desires. And I found a purpose that was to love him with all my heart and all my soul, and then just to love others so that they can know what a relationship with God looks like. I have found a purpose and identity by making him the center of my life. So I'm already a college student, a daughter in a sorority, and many other things, but I just ask myself what that looks like to make God the reason why I want to get good grades in class, or why can I love and serve and respect my parents, or how can I show God's love by loving and serving the girls in my sorority. Things that I'm already doing, but I add talking to God in prayer and listening to him by reading the Bible and doing the things that he asks of me. Before following Christ, I would have said that God was just to ruin my college experience, but that's not the case at all. He just made it better, and no matter what I'm doing, who I'm with, and where I am, I've found my purpose and my identity, and God has a purpose for each and every one of us, and I can guarantee that'll be better than anything that we can pick out for yourself. It was for me.